What's going on, everybody? We got another Johnny TCG video. Today we're going to be looking at Red Yellow Sabo from Starter Deck 13. Um, I'd say this is the second most popular leader out of Starter Deck 13, with Black Yellow Luffy clearly being the number one most popular leader. I have been having a ton of fun with this deck, though. I love the aggro-ness of it, and also the RNG trigger lottery. As you can see, I run a lot of rush characters. Kidding Killer, Monkey D. Luffy from Starter Deck 1, Monkey D. Luffy from Starter Deck 10, and Ace. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 characters that can be played from life with their triggers, depending on the circumstance. Some of the notable things about this list are: 1, none of the little brothers. I don't really love that strategy. I feel myself having to deviate too far from my game plan when I do incorporate them, because the matter at hand is just getting my opponent down on life and swinging a ton with rush characters. One thing that I don't see a ton of people run is Flaming Dragon King. This is great early game to be able to reorder my life and set my triggers to the top to really make sure I'm getting the most value out of them. Or if I don't have any triggers in life, just giving myself a little bit of insight onto what I do have in life, what cards I can expect later on in the game is great as well. I run a Wano package with the Kikunojo, Inuarashi, and Nekomamushi, all that can be played when my opponent is at 3 life or less, out of life with no cost. This combo is crazy. You stack Kikunojo on the top of your life, you get to play it out of life, swing for 7 if you attach it down for it next turn, and then add it straight back to your life. Rinse and repeat every time. So the one questionable thing in this list, or there might be multiple questionable things depending on your opinion, but is this 10 drop Monkey D. Luffy from Starter Deck 10. One problem I found with this list is that without the bigger bodies, sometimes I struggle. So I like having one to fall back on. Another card you could use would be EB01 Shanks, the 9 drop, which would also let you use your leader ability on the same play. Or leave one down up for maybe a Radical Beam. Personal preference, I'm trying to figure it out myself. Right now I've got the Monkey D. Luffy, but if you have any other suggestions, I would love to hear them. Now let's get into some gameplay. We're going to start today off with the green-yellow Yamato. I get to choose turn order, and I'm going to go second. Love the turn 1 Hiyori play, or just the extra draw in general. Both of these decks are pretty boom or bust unless it's Fortress Yamato, so we'll see what they're running. I'm thinking about using a Hiyori here, but I know how important 2Ks are when going against green yellow Yamato, and I don't want to put a trigger on the top of my life if I can't get them down to 3 life, which is when most of my triggers activate. 8k at lead. This is to be expected most of the time from Yamato. I'm going to give them Hiyori and Otama. Here I'm going to hit them with 7k, see if they'll give it to me, and if they do, play Hiyori and get a trigger on the top of my life. I think I'm gonna go with Nekomamushi. I definitely run a more trigger-based red-yellow Sabo than I think the average deck list, but most deck lists I do see nowadays are highly based in triggers. This is interesting. They put down an Izo to rest my Hiyori and then just swing 5 with leader at it. Of course I'm going to give it to him. I wonder if they're thinking that this turn I would throw down Mononosuke and put Hiyori at the top of my life. If that's what they're worried about, and that makes perfect sense, but I don't really. That's not what I would be thinking if I was in their position. I'm going to swing 7 at life. Uh, have them either take life or drain 2k counters out of their hand. And they're thinking about it. I think I'm going to go with. I'm debating. I see the point of multiple of the different options I have, but I don't want to leave Kid and Killer on the field when I might need that as a closer. So I'm just gonna go with Shiraya. And leave one down up for Radical Beam. I wouldn't. I don't think I'm gonna use Radical Beam here, but you never know when you might need it. Uh, and yeah, I wouldn't have been able to put Inuarashi back to the top of my life using leader ability, and so I didn't want, for whatever reason, I'm thinking maybe a Hody Jones to just be able to kill it right away. They do the Hiyori Momonosuke combo. Great combination, but this means that they're only going to be able to swing 5 life at me. Or 5 at lead. You know what I mean. They're debating, and they don't, because they don't want to activate my trigger, which is perfectly fine by me. I draw into the Rush Unblockable Monkey D. Luffy from Starter Deck 1. One of the best cards in the game, especially when trying to close it out late in the game. I'll give them 6k at lead, just see what they're going to give me, whether or not they're going to take this. They do have a decent amount of cards in their hand, so they should be able to block out of at least this hit and probably some more going forward. Kid and Killer is offline right now, and so while I could play it and give it some Don and swing, I don't want to. I don't want to deal with putting it back on my life and maybe they try to starve me out. So I think here I might go Monkey D. Luffy. And then see if they'll give me the block too. They're thinking. And they end up taking it. And I think right now I'm just going to end my turn. I am leaving Luffy vulnerable, but I do have a blocker, and I have a Rad Beam, and I have 3k in counter. Because I know next turn I'm gonna want to swing with it again, and having that extra character on field is going to be real important for that. The one problem with always putting your characters into life is that when you do that, they can starve you sometimes. And then if I run out of rushers and they've got a sizable hand like they do now, you feel kind of silly with all your characters in your life. Draw into a cracker here. I don't think I'll be using it this game, but it's got 1k counter, which is great. I think right now I'm debating on how to order this turn. Kid and Killer is online. I'm just debating on whether or not I should swing with that first or maybe go Luffy first. What order should I do this? I'm not exactly sure. I'm just going to go a clean 7 at life. They could block with Mononosuke and give me a 2k, which I don't think would be a bad idea. But instead, it looks like they're either going to let it hit or use counter to get out of it. Fair enough. I do have plenty other of swings coming, and they don't. For all they know, I could have another rush card in my hand, uh, which would be crazy. It seems like it might be a trigger. Uh, that's no big deal. While they do have a lot of cards on board, I've got the old Radical Beam, and I'm gonna be able to put one of these characters back on the top of my life. I'm debating on whether or not I should put one of my 4-cost characters out and leave a Don up for Rad Beam, just so that I have something to swing with on the crackback next turn. But I don't think I'm going to. There's no... I don't think it's necessary. It's too risky. Well, it may only be the matter of 1,000 encounter if I play one of them out. That 1k can really make a difference. Because I know there's going to be a ton of swings coming for me next turn. So I gotta kind of hunker down a little bit. I'm expecting them to block with the Momonosuke, as they know an unblockable is coming next. The fact that they didn't makes me think that they have plenty of counter in hand, and so they're going to be able to get out of this Monkey D. Luffy. But I'm going to swing for it anyway, just to get all those cards out of hand. I don't really have another option. Yeah, I think it's just the right play to make right now. When I put Kidding Killer on the top of my life using Red Yellow Sabo's ability, I was able to give Monkey D. Luffy an extra 2,000 for this turn. So it's an extra little bit of defense, but with Zoro being able to swing 3 times, I am not expecting to keep that Monkey D. Luffy alive. Which is fine. It's already got great value. I am anticipating at least one hit to my life, which would give me the Kidding Killer back. If they didn't swing at my life, though, and just decided to clear board, I think I'd be in trouble. 10k at life, I'll take it. Surprised they're not going for the Luffy. $6k with the blocker. That I'm a little kind of surprised by. And I get to use my trigger for Nekomamushi. I'm not really too worried right now. I got a Rad Beam. I've got 4k encounter. Yeah, not stressing at all. Here they go again at life. I'm really surprised by this. And I get lucky with the Yonami trigger to kill one of their bodies. And now it's out of reach for them. 8k with Hody, I could block, but I let it hit. 6k with Yamato, I could let it hit, but might as well just counter out of it. And I think here they kind of realize it's lost. And I accidentally back out quickly, but... Next up, we got a game against a Whitebeard player. Whitebeard was big in the meta before I started playing One Piece at the end of OP04, right at the beginning of OP05. So I don't have a ton of experience playing against him. I decide to keep my current hand. You can see I got that spicy Monkey D. Luffy 10 drop from Starter Deck 10. The main reason I keep my hand is I have 2 2Ks, a Shiraya, and a Radical Beam. Shiraya is going to get a lot of value in this matchup, with Whitebeard being a 6k leader after all. I don't play Hiyori just because I think I'm going to need a lot of 2k counters in this matchup. 9k at life. I can't stop that. Or I could stop it, but I'm not gonna. I'll just let it hit. And I think this turn, I think this game, I really want to pressure them. Make sure that they are giving me counter throughout the entire game. With all my rushers, it will be easy to keep the pressure up. I just go with a Shariah. Uh, yeah, make blocking and countering easier. They swing 7 at me. Block and counter. I only have a 2k, so wasted 1k of counter, but it is what it is. They throw down the blocker Marco. I do have rushers I can use, but I'm a little nervous about leaving them on board. I should just swing 6k with my lead and see where that takes me. This is actually a misplay because I should be swinging with my leader first. I should have seen if they were going to take it or not and then played the kidding killer. So my ordering is off there. They did end up countering out of both attacks. Yeah, I wonder how my poor ordering affected that decision of theirs. They're going to play ace. Minus 3k from both my bodies and swing into the kidding killer. It is what it is. And then I'll let them have a hit at my lead, even though I could have blocked it. Lots of counter in my hand, a couple rush cards. I think right now the play is to swing with lead and then swing with starter deck 1 Monkey D Luffy. Trying to do the math right now, but as you may know, math is not my strong suit. I play solely based on vibes. I'm gonna swing 8,000 at the ace right here, mainly just looking for counter. They can't block out of it with the Marco because I gave 2 down to Luffy. My thought process here is that maybe at the end of this turn I put Luffy to the top of my life and then I play 10 drop next turn. They block the 6k from my leader, which might be a little bit surprising, but it is what it is. Not worried about that. I'm able to power up my Shariah, and I'm able to swing for 8k, and I go again at the ace, just trying to get the characters off the board. I'm not really too concerned about my position right now. If anything, I'm feeling great. He's gonna swing at me. I'm gonna counter out of it, just because I don't know how many other rush cards he's gonna play, and I have plenty in counter in hand right now, so why not? I'll counter out again, and this is a little bit of an interesting play. I'm gonna play down the 10 drop Luffy and swing at the ace. Just getting that off the board, and then I can actually swing again with the Shariah. That'll be powered up all the way to 8,000 at their leader. I didn't leave any Dawn up. I've got 5k in counter in hand. It could hypothetically be bad for me if they were swinging at my life. I am hoping they don't kill me, though. I think right now, once they played that ace, I should be good to go. Swept 7 at the Shariah. I'll give it to him. That Shiraya got a lot of value. Here I'm a little nervous if they really load up uh, that Whitebeard. Would that be able to kill me? 12k? No, 12k even wouldn't have been able to kill me, but still. Uh, I get lucky there. I get lucky that they weren't able to get rid of this uh, big Luffy. Uh, for those that don't know, it's got rush, and then also when on my swing or on my turn in general, if my opponent activates a blocker, I get to KO one of their characters of 8,000 or less, which is huge. I go 7k at lead with Kid and Killer. I can use their ability. Then I go 6k at lead with Sabo. They know that if they use Marco, something's just going to get popped. Then I'm going to play Monkey D. Luffy. Add Kid and Killer back up to the top of my life. And then power up Luffy. Hypothetically, I think it is possible that they could win here. I mean, that my hits don't all go through, and they just give up because they see the writing on the wall. No counter in hand. Yeah, that was a really interesting matchup for sure. Next up, we got a match against Black Yellow Luffy, a battle of the brothers of Starter Deck 13. I keep my hand, I get to choose turn order, and I'm liking the turn 2 Flaming Dragon King play. Not every Sabo deck list runs this, but I think it's great being able to reorder my life when I'm such a trigger happy deck. I find very valuable. Turn 2, I'm just gonna, or turn 1 for me, I'm just gonna leave my Don up and pass so I can use this event. I could have went with Hiyori, but I don't. I'd rather just keep it in hand and use the event right now. 6k at lead. Normally I would take this, but with the event, I'll use it. This is quite a life, not a single trigger, which is disappointing, but I do see some rushers, so I know they'll be coming eventually. Monkey D. Luffy from Starter Deck 1 and Kid and Killer from EB01. Not ideal. You really want to see triggers in there and be able to arrange them the way you like, but it is what it is. First, I'm going to play out Hiyori and set Kikunojo to the top of my life, which this is a little bit, I think, of a mistake. I definitely should have swung 7 at life first, because then I can decide whether or not I put Kikunojo first, if they even go down to 3 life, because usually a Black Yellow Luffy player will take that first life, but they use the event as well. And so now if they're able to connect with the swing, Kikunojo's trigger doesn't go off. So I really should have played Cracker there. But luckily they only swing for 5, and therefore I'm able to counter out with some of the little bit of counter I have in hand. That's one thing to note with such a rush based build, is that oftentimes I can find myself with no counter, and so if I'm facing a rush deck, then I may be in trouble too. $6k at lead, just a little bit of a poke. I don't want to put Luffy to 0 life cards too quickly, because then they can use their leader effect. I'm kind of hoping that they counter out of some of these little attacks. I'll play out Shiraya and leave 2 Don up. Shiraya will be a really good card in this matchup, but leaving 2 Don up is usually suboptimal. I wonder if they're thinking I am baiting another one of the Flaming Dragon Emperor cards. I believe that's what the card is called. I already forgot. 6k at life, I will take it because my Kikunojo trigger is active. They're pondering what to play with 7 Dawn. They go with the 5-drop Sabo, the yellow 5-drop Sabo, and pop my Shiraya. That makes sense. If they popped my Kikinojo, I would have gotten a free life. In terms of counter, my hand is bricked up, but in terms of rushers, I'm in a great position. Unless their hand really has no counter, the odds that I can finish them in this play or on this turn is really low, so I am going to try to get rid of this Monkey D. Luffy. But I'm not going to swing Giant at it just yet. I'm going to really try to poke at it with small attacks, hoping to get some counter out of their hand before eventually they hopefully let it go. Now, depending on what they have in their hand, they may be able to get down to 0 life on their turn anyway, but I don't want to make it that easy for them. 7k with Kikinojo, I'll be able to put it to the top of my life now, which I love to do. That's one of the best combinations for red yellow Sabo, is get a Kiku from life, swing with it that turn, and then put it back to repeat and recycle it next turn. Right now I'm debating on what makes more sense, the Kid and Killer or the Monkey D. Luffy. I decided to go with the Monkey D. Luffy, just because it'll be a bigger body on defense, and Kid and Killer I might need the less Dawn next turn, you know? You never know when you want to be efficient with it. They don't let the Monkey D. Luffy go. Got a ton of counter out of hand, but would have loved to see it go. They do activate its effect, so they're able to get down to 0 life and then use leader ability. They have the 2 little versions of Ace and Luffy too, so they're really going to be able to set their board right now. 9k at Luffy, who's powered up because of my leader's effect. I'm debating here, but there's no point of really saving it because I'd have to use a Radical Beam, which one would only be at 2,000, and they could also just swing with their other characters. Now, they do the smart thing and do not attack me because they know Kikinojo will come right back out, but it doesn't really matter too much when I have all these rushers. I'm going to do a little poke for 7,000 with my leader, hoping that I get 1 card out of hand. I'll make it 8 and see if it's a 2k. Hypothetically, if that did go through, I could have played one of my rushers and, well, I don't know what I would have done. I'm just going to go with the old Kikinojo back to life strategy and kind of wait it out. They're going to have to attack me eventually. This strategy does not work when you don't have rushers in hand, because a lot of decks are really able to kind of just wait you out and build a board and then swing at you with a ton of big bodies. 7k at life, I'll take it. I wonder if they're going to try to go for game here. I did leave it down up for Radical Beam, which may come in handy. I'll take it again and play out Kikinojo via trigger. I'm debating on whether or not to take this, and maybe it's a little risky of me to take it, but I'm not feeling too much pressure right now, so I'll let it go. I know, if I remember correctly, it's a Kid and Killer, so just another one to have. I could possibly drop 2 next turn. That would be a lot of swings for them to deal with. They hardcast the black Sabo from OP04. This seems to be a must play in all black and yellow Luffy decks, and the price of the card certainly reflects that. It's gone up a lot in the past couple of months. They'll use little Luffy's ability to power up their leader. I could get out of this if I used Radical Beam and Hiyori. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm going for game. And I just let it hit. What the heck. Now it's just going to be a couple of 7k swings at lead. See what they let go through. It doesn't really matter anyway. I've got this in the bag. Now they either use blocker Sabo or just kind of give up. And they just give up. GG's. That's it for today's games, everybody. Some exciting ones for you today. Let me know what you think about the deck list in the comments below. What should I change? What did you like about it? I really would appreciate your feedback. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm done yapping.